Right here, the hardest hitting 145 pound, the real hardest hitting 145er right here. This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. They're not. Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that? Oh my god.
The hardest hitting 145 pounder is taking on Lerone Murphy, bro. So I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for the main event, as well as my reaction to UFC 316 being announced, as well as the UFC Kansas, the main event being changed. Before we get into it though, you guys gotta make sure you're subscribed, dude, because this channel is gonna get big, and just join the hype train of this channel before we get really big. But let's talk about it, dude. Lerone Murphy, Josh Emmett. I'm gonna be honest, dude, I'm not a fan of Lerone Murphy, dude. I honestly think that Josh Emmett's gonna embarrass Lerone Murphy. You see, Lerone Murphy's not young. For some reason, when people talk about Lerone Murphy, this guy, he's a prospect, bro. Lerone Murphy is not a prospect, dude. He's 32 years old. Max Holloway is only 1 year older than this guy. When you look at Max Holloway, you think, oh, he's good, but he's out of his prime. Lerone Murphy's 1 year younger, and people see him as a prospect, dude. I mean, no one's talking crazy about Lerone Murphy. No one's saying this guy could be a future champion, but still, dude, Lerone Murphy is not good, dude. The only thing that's poppy about him is that he has an undefeated record. If this guy wasn't undefeated, if say he was 15-2, 15-1, no one would be talking about this guy. No one would be talking about this guy at all. Lerone Murphy, he's chinny, dude. He's very chinny. Obviously, he's not going to get knocked out cold. He's never lost, but Dan Ige knocked him down, dude. Dan Ige hits hard, but, you know, Josh Emmett is also the hardest hitting 145 pounder, dude. If Dan Ige is doing that to you, then, brother, what is Josh Emmett going to do to you, dude? And Lerone Murphy, he's chinny. He doesn't have good takedown defense either, dude. I watched his first couple fights in UFC. Back then, his takedown defense was absolutely abysmal. Since then, it's gotten a little bit better. But Bryce Mitchell, I'm not saying he's some Islam Makhachev level wrestler, but Josh Emmett can take you down. He can take you down when he needs to, dude. Josh Emmett's taking down Bryce Mitchell, a jiu-jitsu specialist. Bryce Mitchell, he's controlled him on the ground for a little. I think he took down Michael Johnson back in the day. Josh Emmett, I'm talking about, of course. And Josh Emmett's underrated, dude. People forget that this guy was actually pretty good at one point. People forget for this guy that this guy fought for a title. He fought for the interim title against Yair Rodriguez, and sure, he got submitted, but, you know, actually, he took down Yair Rodriguez, and then he got submitted by, like, a arm triangle, so that was pretty stupid of him. So maybe his jiu-jitsu isn't the best, but Lerone Murphy's jiu-jitsu isn't good, dude. Bryce Mitchell, it's a good win for Josh Emmett, dude. Josh Emmett's actually a really good fighter, dude. You look back, dude, this guy has a great resume. Bryce Mitchell, like I said, Calvin Kattar, Dan Ige, great resume. I don't know, dude. Josh Emmett's actually good. He has KO power. And, yeah, man, I do think he's going to beat Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy just doesn't have much going for him, dude. He has decent striking, mediocre striking, zero grappling. I just got to give this to Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is my prediction, boys. And, now let's go on my reaction about UFC 316. Now let's talk about UFC 316. Dana White said earlier today that he had some big news to announce, and this was the news. You know, a lot of people thought that it would be an April Fool's joke, but Dana White does not play, dude. UFC 316, Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley 2 has been announced, along with Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. 2 bantamweight world title fights. It will be a pretty fun card. You know, I do think this fight needs a pretty decent featured fight of the night to make it really a fun card, but still, dude, this looks decent card so far. A lot of people don't like this matchup, and you know, maybe Sean O'Malley doesn't deserve this. He does not deserve this coming off a loss, especially that, you know, how I think about it is Aljo didn't get an immediate rematch after he lost to Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley gets an immediate rematch after he lost to Merab. I think that's a little bit dumb, you know, and I am one of the biggest Sean O'Malley fans out there, so you can't say I'm biased, dude. I love Sean O'Malley, but still, dude, does he really deserve this? Not really. In terms of the actual fight, dude, I made a video about this a couple days ago. I do think Sean O'Malley is going to win, dude. Sean O'Malley has everything it takes to win this fight. He went into that first fight with the torn labrum, dude. People forget that Sean O'Malley was injured in that first fight, and going against a wrestler like Merab, who's constantly going to be shooting takedowns on you, it's going to be costly, dude. Sean O'Malley also took a round off Merab in that 5th round, dude. The cardio machine Merab is, he took a round off him. He won the 3rd round, and, you know, I'm not saying this is a robbery by any means, but you go back and watch that first round, dude. It was closer than you think. Yeah, this was a 306, that night of 306 when O'Malley lost the title. One of the worst nights of my life, man. Oh, gosh. That was a pretty horrible night. In terms of the co-main event, I talked about it a little earlier. Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. this is a decent fight. You know, Kayla Harrison, what is she? A gold medalist in judo, I think. Olympic gold medalist in judo. And Juliana Pena, fluke to win over Amanda Nunes, and now we're here, man. I don't know how she possibly could have beat Amanda Nunes with her eyes closed, throwing punches, but you know, it's a decent fight. Hopefully, Kayla Harrison can save the division. Juliana Pena, having her as champion since 307 has been rough, man. Just opening the UFC rankings and seeing her face is not meant to be, dude. I'm sorry, Juliana. And the other thing we had announced today was Carlos Prates versus Ian Garry, replacing Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill pulled out again. This fight will be postponed, not canceled. But this is the second time Jamal Hill's pulled out, dude. This guy is terrified of Khalil Roundtree. You know, this fight was originally booked for 303. He pulled it at 303. Now this fight was booked for a fight night in Kansas. Jamal Hill pulled out of that too. This guy's a fraud. This guy's scared of Khalil Roundtree, especially after seeing Khalil Roundtree going life and death with Alex Pereira, man. But, you know, let's talk about this new main event because I'm really a big fan of it. Carlos Prates versus Ian Garry. This is a W main event, dude. You know, at first, when it first got announced a couple hours ago, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to win this. But after a little bit of thinking, dude, I have to go with Ian Garry, dude. I actually really like Ian Garry, and his performance against Shavkat Rakhmonov warranted a shot higher up the rankings. But no, we're going to give him a shot down the rankings. I'm surprised Ian Garry took this fight, though, because he took the Shavkat fight on short notice. He didn't have to take that Shavkat fight on short notice, and now he took this fight on short notice. This guy is willing to fight anybody, any place, anywhere. So shout out to Ian Garry. You know, he's risking his ranking, he's risking his one, you know, not his O anymore since he lost at the Shavkat, but he's risking his one in his record. Shout out to Ian Garry, dude. And I honestly think this guy is gonna fraud check Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates is good, but you think about it, he is a Muay Thai specialist. He doesn't have much ground game, and we've never seen it truly tested in the UFC. Carlos Prates is just a striker who has knockout power, and we've seen so many examples of this. Strikers who have knockout power, and that's it, you know, and they get fraud checks soon to come. Carlos Prates, he's good, dude, but who is he knocked out? Neil Magny? Neil Magny got knocked out 2 months before that, brother. Come on. Carlos Prates' best one is Neil Magny in the Big 25. I'm sorry, dude. I understand he's coming up the rankings. But Ian Garry is a big step up. Neil Magny to Carlos Prates. Yeah, Ian Garry doesn't have a bad chin. You know, he took some big shots in that Shavkat Rakhmonov fight. I was surprised, actually. Ian Garry, I think, is going to use his grappling. And Prates has good KO power. So if Prates can catch Ian Garry, it would spice up the welterweight division even more. Imagine having Carlos Prates in like the top 10 or top 7 now. That would absolutely be crazy. So many title contenders at welterweight. That would make the division even better. But like I said earlier, Ian Garry is probably going to take this down. You know, he had some problems with MVP on the feet, so he took him down. And if Ian Garry's starting to have problems with Carlos Prates on the feet, I assume this guy is going to take down Carlos Prates. Who knows? He might even submit him, dude. He was this close to submitting the boogeyman of the division in Shavkat Rakhmonov, dude. He had a rear naked choke locked in. This guy's going to come out with Charles Oliveira in his corner, and he's going to slay the prospect that is Carlos Prates. And yeah, man, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe because we're trying to hit 800 subscribers by the end of the year. It would mean a lot. MMA Outpost out.